Alright, Tony's taking a break right now, so I'm thinking of trying something a little bit different. Thinking of going with a ollie finger flip. I don't know if Tony can do it, even though I do believe he pioneered that move on vert before I had even ever stepped on a skateboard. But on the flat ground, it's different terrain. I don't know if Tony can hang with me. So this is an ollie finger flip. And basically, ollie, board goes into your hand. I grab it like this. So my thumb's underneath, my fingers are on top. And grab it, and I flip it. So it's ollie up, grab it, flip it, onto your feet, roll away. It's a good trick. I'm going to stick it to Tony on this one.
Ollie a board into your hand and flip it in the heel flip direction as soon as you get a good hold of it. Grabbing with your thumb on the bottom makes it easier to hold longer through the flip. Grabbing with your thumb on the grip tape, like me, forces you to release it early and makes the flip less consistent. Okay, you got me on finger flips. I can't ollie into it. I give up.
Sorry.
Well, what you got on impossibles?
Ooh, you'd think that I could do an ollie impossible after all those years of skating with Templeton, but no, I got my own variations.
Okay, let's see. Ollie Impossible, well, it's one of those tricks that I think people like the name a lot, and so they are curious about what it really is. And probably when it was invented, people thought, hey, that looks impossible, because during an impossible, the board wraps around your back foot. So you do an ollie, and it actually goes all the way over and comes back to where it was. Well, I start to do them. You want to get in sort of an ollie position, but I usually have my heel hanging off the board because I got these size 13 boats, and I got to keep my feet out of the way when the thing actually comes around. And I keep my front foot kind of in an ollie position, but also off to the side just to get it out of the way. And there's a lot of scooping to it, so it's not really like an ollie. It's sort of like it's a start of an ollie, and you push your front foot forward, and that gets the board to roll around. So it's like there's this sort of sweeping motion your foot does, and you're sort of pushing it ahead of yourself. It's hard to learn. Sometimes it'll come into a 360 shove it, you know, and it won't really roll, but at least you get the feel of it. So just work on that motion. You can actually try to work on it and take your foot off, step off it if you have to. But you know, just keep at it, and I'll show you some, and we'll talk about the mistakes. Kick down and forward with your back foot in a scooping motion while kicking your front foot back and out of the way. Continue pushing your back foot as the board rolls over it, and prepare to replace your front foot. Set your front foot down as the board comes around and lean forward. Readjust your back foot if it ends up near the middle of your board, which is a perfectly acceptable landing of the impossible.
Marker.
Well, we both have our own issues with these tricks, and so we kind of create our own style, right? Finger flips. I decided that the ollie's not really necessary, although it's not as exciting. You can get it done, and that's pretty, you know. And then Mike's got the impossible step off, no comply thing. But you know, that's skating. It doesn't matter how you do it, as long as you do it and you're having fun. We don't care. Mike, what are the common mistakes with the ollie finger flip? Because I didn't even get to it.
I think you gotta, well, first of all, you gotta really, because the nature of the trick, because it's a grabbing trick and you're flipping it with your hand, you know, learning the flip in itself is kind of tricky. But once you get that down, you can kind of underflip, and you can easily land primo like that, or you can be leaning too far back when you flip the board and loop out. Just gotta watch out for that.
I wouldn't know. Let's see, impossibles. There's a whole plethora of problems with that trick. One is the board flipping as it comes around, and that's just a function of the way it rolls over your foot. If your foot's not flat, if you're not keeping it level, or if it happens to roll over your ankle as opposed to just over the flat part of your foot, that'll just send it flipping, and you land upside down. And you actually land upside down on top of your foot, so it feels really bad when you do that. Other than that, the board, you know, instead of actually doing instead of going over your foot, it goes off to the side and it does like a 360 shove it. And if you make it, then you can work your way up to actually doing the impossible flop over. But It's fine either way, you know. Just sometimes people might call it a 360 shove it. So.
Well, I think what was cool about this was we're kind of swapping tricks, and it shows that, you know, different people have different variations of the same kind of maneuvers, and you know, you might ollie impossible, I might step off, I might ollie airwalk, you might early grab airwalk, but that's okay. It's okay.
Okay, pressure flips. Pressure flips kind of older trick. It's like, what?
Dude, seriously, pressure flips?
Yeah, what? It's old school. We're doing old school stuff, right?
Yeah, but pressure flips?
Yeah, it's like a flip trick.
No, dude.
No.
You're on your own on this one. I have nothing to do with it.
Okay, fine. I might catch some heat, but I'm keeping the dream alive, you know? Because it's almost extinct and people have forgotten about the pressure flip, and I'm here to bring it back. So pressure flip is basically, it's a kick flip using only your back foot, and you actually just put pressure on the tail at certain points to make it flip certain ways, and I really only do it one way, and mine's kind of like a kickflip varial. But I don't know, people just kind of forgot about it in the early 90s. A lot of people were doing it then, and that was kind of this movement, and then they just forgot about it. I think because you don't ollie into it, so it's not considered cool, but I don't care. I'm not here to win any popularity contests. So basically, for a varial pressure flip, you put all your pressure on your toe and the sort of inside of your tail, and that starts it flipping, and it kind of does like almost like a frontside shove it flip, where it's a varial flip, but if you don't kick it just right, it just kind of ends up doing a shove it. And so you got to really put the pressure on your toes to make it sort of scoop it. It's sort of like a pushing, scooping action instead of an ollie. And I'll do some, and maybe that'll explain it better. All right, but don't forget about him. Mike V, whatever. Start with your back foot closer to the back truck than on a regular ollie. Push down on your toes and scoop forward, sending the board into an inward heel flip rotation. Keep your front foot out of the way until you see the board come around and the grip tape welcomes you back on. Avoid landing with your rear foot too far back, which is a surefire way to snap your tail. Okay, common problems with pressure flips. Well, the biggest problem is not applying enough pressure, and if you push it out and it just ends up flopping upside down, that means that you're not putting enough pressure on your toes. It's almost like you're trying to get wheel bite. You're trying to get your wheel to hit the bottom of your board there, and that'll send it into a full flip. Another problem is you underturning it, and that's just kind of like you gave it pressure, but you didn't actually throw it forward. But you can actually pivot out of it if you underturn it. If you overturn it, then you're doomed. So you just got to keep that balance, practice it. That's about it, though. You know.
Tony, man. I was thinking, man. I went for a long walk, and I realized I don't want to be a hater, man. Pressure flips are cool. The truth of the matter is I can't do them.
Okay, well that's fair. You know, and after we watch this, maybe you can go out and learn them. You know.
Well, yeah.
But we're keeping it old school, so we gotta.
No, I'm all about that. I'm all about
the gamut.
I'm all about people having their own tricks and doing their own thing. I mean, that's where it's at.
Freestyle. Oh, Eric, primo skating.
Thanks.
You got a little taller there. Because you're standing primo. This is primo. This means landing on your board sideways. Named after the infamous Primo Desiderio, freestyler extraordinaire. He used to slide his board like that on purpose. We don't want you to do it on purpose.